Right. Okay, Mike
Is it
Kiza.
still there?
Big Mike. Bring us in there with the. You want to start us off with a young 2 minute or want to do that at the end?
We do it at the end. Let's just. I was trying to say something earlier, man, before
I
I
know
got
you're
cut
talking
off.
about older
I was
ladies.
talking about the teachers, the older ladies, how it's a double standard thing because now I think it's like a socially accepted double standard because I know that if it's the other way around, it's extremely creepy.
Yes.
Whereas if you have like an old dude in a hot tub who's licking ears, which are like the microphones, and you've got 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old girls listening to that, that just even saying the sentence, you get this weird creepiness and like we need to stop that guy, right?
Mm.
But for some reason in society, when it's the other way around, we're so more relaxed about it. We'll say stuff like, ah, a young guy needs to learn or whatever, whatever people say. It's obviously not discussed in law and whatever. It's the same as when you see these PDF files that you're seeing now that are running quite rampant,
I mean,
like
running
in the
government.
schools.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Continue.
No, no, not those ones. I mean, like the teachers, right, that are
Yeah.
getting caught now with the students, the female teachers specifically.
Mm.
When we hear these stories as guys, especially when you're talking around the friends, you know, you kind of like, man, why didn't it happen to me? I think there's someone who actually had a bit about that, a joke.
Not just a
Um,
joke. In episode, remember, it was South Park. I'm pretty sure it was South Park. Yeah?
it's also in that movie, Adam Sandler. That's my boy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because yes, exactly. And then they're like, what, Mrs. Whatever?
Exactly.
Nice,
And she was
nice.
like super hot, like and then even they just hear like bah, 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 during like the award show.
Yeah, and then
And then
people
like when the
start.
curtain opens you see him like looking out like that, you know.
He's embarrassed,
So
but people are like cheering. Yeah,
no,
even
they're
some
like
of the
cheering
teachers.
you and
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah.
So and then she gets arrested and whatever. But any person who watched that movie, they're like, well, I'm not saying any person, most guys who have like a moniker of testosterone,
Yeah.
like look at that and they go, I wouldn't have minded if it was me. I wouldn't have got caught, I would have been able to keep a secret.
Mm.
Like, why do we do that? Why do guys like once we hit puberty, it's like, we our chest gets
It's
big and we feel like
it's got to, if I may, I think it's got to do with the fact that even the way that we perceive the act itself, right? One person is penetrating, the other person is being penetrated. So, and of course, being a man, I don't want to speak on the female experience, but I think from, and this could be very tainted view, but from what I've observed, it really could be, but like what I've observed in both sexes and their experiences throughout adolescence and then into early adulthood, um, men don't carry the people they sleep with them so much somehow. Like, and you get what I mean? Like, and I think it's because, and I'm not really
you're
trying
talking
to.
about like a soul tie vibe.
I'm not even going that deep. Before we even go there, let's just go into the act, right? The one person is letting them in. One person is letting you in. The other
What are
one,
you clicking your fingers for?
no, nothing. Never mind. One person is being let in, which means they are more vulnerable than the other person, or maybe may feel more vulnerable. You get it? Um, and so when we as a society consider that, like, he just went, he's a grown man and he entered, this young woman, like, what's going on here? Whereas, oh, a young man is being permitted to enter a mature gate. It's, you get what I'm saying? Like,
A
I don't know
date
if,
is crazy.
yes,
No,
but
but I
that's
know
the,
what you mean.
yeah, I mean,
It's
I'm
like
putting it very crassly, or I'm
it's
trying
almost like
to,
it's more like the consent. I think that's what it is. It's the
yes, we
consent thing,
automatically assume
where
that
like
if she's young, the consent cannot, but it's, yeah,
can be like, but it's also look. We know, well, at least I know some chicks. I know some of them very well when we were 14, 15, who were
yeah,
dating guys in their 20s.
yeah, of course.
And she would go in his car and stuff. And
Oh,
I was in love with her, right?
mm.
Because, she's in my class. But yet, I don't know why she's not interested. But then she's dating the 21-year-old, 22-year-old guy.
Yeah.
And, so this is why I don't want to put like such a broad aspect on it to say that there aren't some people who this is the like I think this is one of the most contested things is the whole subject of puberty within itself. Like what is that? What does it mean? What is it supposed to do? Right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you start going into the biology of things, that's when people start becoming a little bit squirmy and they say, no, you can't do this or you can't do that, right? But if you look at what is the humanhood telling you, and then are there outliers when it comes to those things?
What do you mean by, or just expound on what you mean when you say there's things you
Puberty.
can't do and can do in puberty
No,
or
so for
whatever.
instance, the exact story I mentioned now,
Mm-hmm.
she was obviously, we were, you know, we had hit puberty, 14, 15, around there. But she was dating and being with a older guy, a man, really,
Yeah, yeah, a young
right?
man, a man. Right.
So that there
He can vote, he
is
can go to war. Okay,
you
continue.
can drink. It's a grown man,
Yeah.
right? So we look at that and we say, like, let's hunt him down and let's beat the hell out of him, right? Especially me at that young age where I'm like, why are you dating this guy? You know, um, he's got a car. Like,
Yeah.
he's picking up, like, obviously, you have to look at her family situation and being like, oh, single mom, there's no dad around. So maybe there's something in her head that is looking for that father figure from an older guy. What I'm
Mm.
trying to say
Mm-hmm.
is that before she hit puberty, she wouldn't have been thinking along those lines. At least from my experience in the world, I don't. It's like it's not usual that people before puberty even think on those lines of
I must interject because, and I don't know if this has never happened to you, but this happened to me, and I was like, I almost felt like, I don't want to say violated, but it felt like,
oh geez.
no, no. What happened was like, I'll never forget, and this is one specific time. It's not the only time, but like, I remember I was like
Once
quite
is
new
enough,
and
brother.
yeah, I know. Relax. This is not like a crazy confession or something. What? Allegedly, no. Um, what happened was
Oh
like
gosh.
I was like new or quite recently had moved to Augsburg, and I was like walking around trying to register for things. There's a lot of things you have to do
How
when
old
you.
were you at this point?
Dude, this was 2022 September, right? And
Okay, so you're the older man in the story.
no, but look, it's not crazy. Listen to what I'm trying to say here. They, I was walking, and I'll never forget this like girl is staring at me in this way that maybe like I was like, oh my goodness. I had to look again and I'm like, oh, you're looking at me like I'm a meal. What the fuck is that? Like, you're definitely way too young, right?
Okay, so
And
you could establish that just by looking at it as well.
dude, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, this is a look that is not age appropriate in my perspective. Like, this is, if anything, that should be reserved for someone your age. But even then, I'd be like, wow, how do you know those? Like you just said, oh, people before puberty, they don't think like that, and
So
maybe.
you saying this chick was actually like before puberty?
And
That's
look, here's the
how young
thing.
she was.
Here's the thing.
Well, how
12,
could you even really know?
12, 13. But from the body type, you can tell the hormones have not taken their full course. So probably this is at a that's what made it so weird. Like, this is a person who's
Bro's doing um, studies here of analogy in
no, but
real
it's true.
time.
Like, the hormones haven't kicked in. The figure hasn't developed. But this is still a kid. But she's like 12 and like looking at me like that, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? I just like carried on walking straight ahead because, that's why I say like it made me feel like violated, in a bit. But what I'm trying to say is that it's not like that. And then on top of that, um, if you read certain literature as well, not questionable literature, but just adolescent literature, you realize that, of course, there are feelings. You do begin to understand sexuality when you're around 10, 11, 12. Some people at 12 earliest. Um, but still,
Yeah,
it's
I'll tell you.
obviously
I'll tell
wrong.
you a
It's
crazy
obviously
story.
wrong. It's obviously wrong when an older man or then has to or does engage in that. That's why we came up with those laws,
Yeah,
because we decided
that's like,
that's
yeah,
that's
you've gone too
gross.
far now.
Yeah, of course. Um, and another thing to remember is also that, of course, our ideas of age appropriateness has changed in time. So it used to be, you hear this all the time, Middle Ages, but that's 600, 700 years ago, or before that, where they were at least 13, 14, but women at 14 already getting married. Um,
Yeah,
Even in Bible times, like 14, one's first period. Uh, but we live longer now. I don't know if it has anything to do with that or not,
yeah,
but
but
we
look
live
here.
longer now, so we don't need to. Yeah. Anyway,
Um, I think it was like 100 years ago, something like not even that crazy. I'm not even talking
1926.
600
Okay.
years ago.
Okay.
The age of consent around to be married in America was like 10 years old. And I mean, you can even look that up if you
Yeah,
want.
that's definitely
Uh,
something I gotta look up.
so, especially in Delaware. Uh, so, what I'm saying is that things change like that. Now, you can't tell me 100 years ago,
Mm.
or maybe it's not 100 years ago, maybe it's a little bit longer, um, like 1890, let's say. You can't tell me things were that much different than it is now. And yeah, I mean, obviously you're looking up the stats now, but I was shocked as well. I mean, I heard it on a podcast. This guy was talking about it. And I was like,
Okay.
that can't be real, right?
Gee whiz, listen to this. Listen to this, brother. Um, Obviously my search was a little bit crappy, but it says this is an AI response. In the 19th century USA, the primary agents of consent for marriage were parents or legal guardians for minors, typically under 21. The age of consent, quote unquote, the minimum age to legally agree to marriage or sex, was shockingly low, ranging from 7 to 12 years in
What?
many states for most of the century. Those social norms and
So,
rising
yeah.
age of marriage in the late 1800s pushed real world marriage ages higher. Um, that's
So this is what I'm trying
crazy.
to tell you. A lot of people, when they first hear that, they get all shocked because it's like that's not real. But it's like, no, open your mind a little bit. Like, get out of this bubble that you think you're living in and understand that the world you know today wasn't like that. Not even that long ago, you know?
Mm,
And so
intense.
basically my point, I don't even know what my point was.
We were talking
I
about.
wanted to tell you a story. No, because I
Yeah,
just,
yeah, okay.
sometimes you feel a little bit vindicated because I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope that's online. Oh my gosh, like, I hope I didn't, like, make that up.
Yeah, I know what you
and,
mean.
and then you're
Yeah,
like, no, it is true. And actually, it's worse than I thought, right?
yes. So
But
you
what
were
I'm
more
saying is
right.
yeah, but it's
Okay.
like, it's kind of a relief. But I also knew it is there because, I mean, the guy, he even brought up a chart of the map of America,
Mm.
and it literally the average age. It like ranged from different things, and actually some places in the world like Nigeria, it's still 11 years old. But anyways,
Dude.
um,
You want me to
so
fact
you have
check
to kind
that?
of also
Let's not.
go for it, like allegedly, but
See, okay, okay.
I think in Nigeria it's 11. And this was all a part of this guy's podcast. Don't ask me why I was like checking this guy's podcast, but he does do dating stuff. And because he's an older man who dates like younger chicks, like chicks in their 20s, but he's like in his 60s, right? So he gets called a dirty old man. Uh, so he always has to respond with this type of information to be like, you guys think what I'm doing is criminal or whatever, and then he shows them how it used to be. Now, I'm not saying what he's doing is right
what is he
or
doing?
wrong. Well, he's a 60-year-old dude who dates like 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds, right?
He has no
That
children of his own,
he's got
and his children
children
are
that are the
obvious.
same age as like the people he dates. Obviously not their friends or whatever.
I don't know,
But
man.
what I'm
I don't
saying is,
know.
with a
How?
guy like that, at the same time you go like, oh, maybe he's like a decrepit old man. But there's also this other thing where when someone was a certain age, say
Mm,
if they were like 24, they had no money, none of the chicks their age wanted them, and so they basically have to skip out on all of that, even in their 30s, and then they get money like in their 40s.
mm-hmm.
And then for some reason, they like, oh, now I can get those girls, those 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds
But that's a
that I couldn't
psychological
get
problem.
before.
The-
No, so that's what I'm saying. It's obviously something happening in the guy's head, but at the same time, I'm asking you now, what would you say who he should be dating if he's a 60-year-old?
Okay, look. Here's what I'm trying to say.
And he has access to money, cars, houses, all of that. He's a well-made dude. Who should he be dating, in your opinion?
Okay, listen. First of all, this is the first thing you gotta understand. Is it's got nothing to do. I mean, it shouldn't have anything to do with money. First of all, um, because I mean, I'm not gonna bring my own personal experience, but um, yeah, I mean, I guess I wasn't broke, but I didn't have that much money, and um, yourself as well. Like, it didn't really have too much to do with it. I think what it had more to do with was uh, our surety of ourselves. Okay, because when we're young as men, we're awkward. Let's be very honest. We're very awkward. 16, 17, 18. Some guys get it together much sooner in that sense, right? Especially how they present themselves to the opposite sex. but I think many of us were like awkward. And then as you become more certain in yourself, you become more appealing, which makes sense, right? It's the same thing with women. Women also, when they become, they can start awkward. That's what you call the ugly duckling sometimes, you know, they're like awkward,
And then they
still.
have the glow up, and then
Yes,
you're like,
because now
oh, she's hot now.
they're sure of who they are. They're not uncertain. Take it or leave it. This is who I am. It's fine. In most situations, so that's more appealing. Of course, this is appealing in general, which is also why, you know, women age like fine wine. Sometimes, you know, when they're sure in themselves, when they gain in their surety, this is across the board. That's appealing. But as to the question of who we should be dating now, I think we have to start by understanding that at some point, everyone is an adult, right? Like this whole thing of when she's 30, when he's 30, when you're 40, this is ageism, right? It's ageist because at some point you're all equal now. Everyone's got the same standard. You're
But
no
yeah,
longer,
just to cut in there,
yeah.
just to a defining point would be, so is that age 18? Because that's what has been decided across the board. So if that's what's been decided, no, 18, you're an adult, then it means that that 60-year-old man, he's like I wouldn't say in his right mind, but you've told him that this is fine. This
That's
is our two
legality.
consenting.
But
Yeah,
like,
but
hold on.
so
You
that's
asked me
where
a
it becomes
question.
very weird.
Look, you asked me a question. Legality versus morality. If I would say, like, okay, legally, of course, that's why we have a law, we've made it 18. But I would say if you're 60 years old, if you're 60 years old, right? Let's just keep it at 60, not 65, because then it just adds
Yeah,
strain
but
to the
they
whole
are
equation.
dudes, bro.
Relax. Let's start with
I
just
love to
60.
get me some of that.
Let's start with 60. I would say that realistically, anything under 25, I'll say, brother, just take it easy. Like, because because to be honest with you, 20 is still young, right? I mean,
Yes, dude.
you know, and
Even
I said,
like,
like,
but it's
and
not
this is weird.
everyone, but it
You
is very young.
you know that I met my wife. I was 29. She was 20. Some people would say, "Oh, that's so weird."
Decrepit. That
But in
madara.
actual, but you know what's amazing is that there are many people, um, especially in South Africa, Botswana, who are like, "That's so nice. That's a great age," because they recognized that actually a 29-year-old male is also in the same stage. Like, even though the age number is different, we're in the same age cycle. So when a man is in this, and this is what we're talking about, men tend to be boys into their 20s, 24, 25, 26, 27, and then like
Some in
towards,
their 30s, dude.
yeah, when
Let's
they
be honest.
when they approach 30, they're like, okay, I need to get this act together. I'm not a bachelor. I need to think about buying a house, or you know, stabilizing my routine here. I can't just be going for random drinks in the weekend and or in the weekday. So yeah, so many people felt like, okay, that was actually great. But I'll be honest with you, some of the people that I know, who are European, especially the ladies, who are my age, obviously were like, huh, hmm. You know, so there's this judgment. I don't know what they were really thinking because they didn't say it, but there's like, interesting. Um, and then, of course, some people feel that it's because you, as a man, you just want to have someone to control. But I don't think that's it at all. That's not how I felt about it, honestly. And I wouldn't have, and I
This
didn't
is.
go out of my way
Sorry.
to pick. Sorry, no, I didn't go out of my way to pick someone who's 20. It's just that she was the right one. I had met
Case in
people.
point. That is literally my
Yes.
point now. So what I'm trying to say, when especially earlier I made the comment of not everyone, when we said 20s young or 21,
Yeah, of
then I
course.
said not everyone. So here's something that a lot of people also don't consider. Say you're like an older dude, maybe like 35 or something. You go, and this is just a scenario, right? You go and you have breakfast and you do your work at a certain coffee shop or whatever, and there's a certain waitress who you become cordial with, and she's 21, 22, whatever the age. And over time, you guys have built up this great rapport,
Yeah.
and one thing leads to another, and she actually becomes into you, and you're into her, and you date or whatever after that. Like, just because it happens with one person, that doesn't mean you are a hawk for all women of that age.
Yes.
Because it's just in this one specific moment where those two things are lining up. But you might
Exactly.
honestly find other people of that age annoying, even her
Yes.
friends. You might be like,
Yes.
I don't want to
In
hang out with
fact,
these people.
that's exactly it. That's my point because I was definitely not, oh, I want a 20. No, because they were, I mean, bro, you know, we talk about this all the time, like, and my wife and I will always talk and laugh about like some of her age mates and the crazy stuff that they do and just the way they think and talk and so it's perfect,
But
it
here's
just worked
another
out
thing to add
perfectly.
to that. You get women in their 40s who still behave like they're 14,
Bingo, bingo, bingo.
where you're like, why is this chick so, like, not annoying, but why are you so
Irresponsible as well.
immature?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and you got like no like disrespect to people with gray hairs and stuff, but I mean, you're 42. You've never grown up, right? And so you can say in the opposite way, you do get an 18-year-old who's extremely mature, who's like, why does this person seem like they're 30 or whatever?
Mm.
But it's a case by case thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, like there is broad strokes, right? I don't have an issue with like the 18-year-old thing. I know some people do. Uh, I'm not. Dude, I went for a casting. I actually got like the job or whatever, but I was working with a lot of chicks who were
Just
like
clarify, casting for
18,
like a for
for like
acting,
this short film type of thing,
right?
and there was like 18, 19-year olds, 20-year olds, and then some older, like 28 and whatever. And I promise you, dude, I was talking to the one, just obviously we in the same scene together, and like she's 19, and I swear to you, I was like, this chick is like 14 or something. She just
Mm,
seemed so young, like a kid.
mm.
Obviously, I wasn't doing anything, um, sexual, I guess, in the scene.
Alright,
But I'm
alright,
saying that
alright.
we're just we're just in the same scene together, and so
Yeah.
we're running lines and stuff. And the whole time I'm almost feeling awkward because I'm like, why do I have to do it with this young girl? And then I even told the other dudes that I was staying with, the other actors, I'm like, dude, I don't know why I have to do the scene with such a young girl. It's like it's just awkward. I mean, this is being recorded and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, she's 19. She's actually turning 20 later the year. And I'm like, there's no ways. There's no ways. So that's what it is. Uh, but I will say this. in terms of we were talking about people's like
Can I flip
spec.
up the script quick?
Yeah, but I do want to tell the story because it kind of
Okay.
throws a wrench in the whole thing
Okay.
that we
Go
spoke
for it.
about. So I was in preschool. I'll just
Oh
start it off.
shit. No.
I'll just start it off with that
Okay,
sentence
okay.
over there. And I was at my friend, um, his birthday party. Very, very wealthy guy. Uh,
Kid, you mean? Very,
Kid,
very
yeah,
wealthy kid.
obviously.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah, his family. Imagine, it's like got a 50-year-old's birthday. He was a wealthy guy, but I was 6 years old. No, so
That's a great start to a book. Anyway, continue. Yes.
um, and so I go to his house. It's his birthday. Now, obviously, with like the wealthy kids, every room of the house has got something to do with the birthday party. So you go to this area and it's just food, right? That's where you found me most of the time. All the like hot dogs and pizza and all these types of things. I want to be careful with like using these terms like pizza and all this stuff because
Yeah,
of
please
obviously
do.
the stuff that's come out. You know, I'm like, oh, there was pizza and grape soda and beef jerky. You know, like, but anyways, so there's a room just full of food, and then in this other room, it's a ball pit that's obviously connected to the machine. That's got to do with the ball pits that you it's the air gets blown into it
It's
like
a
a
jumping
jumping
castle,
castle.
yes, but
Yeah,
with
but now
balls.
it's just the ball pit and it's
Hmm.
filled with all these balls like at McDonald's. And that is just in its own section with a clown. And then outside is the big jumping castle and we have the swimming pool. So it's an insane experience at like always at these rich kids. And I remember I was in the ball pit and I climbed up onto the edge of the ball pit. Now it's obviously that's the part where the air is being blown into. So it's almost like this huge like thing you can kind of hug, right? Because
Hmm.
it's the the edge of the ball pit. And this thing is like vibrating obviously because the machine is on. And I just like remember I was holding this and I had like my legs wrapped around it and my arms. And I was just like humping away at it, dude. Like the the vibration
Okay, cool.
was
Continue.
just like, and I'm like, dude, I'm like 5, 6 years old, and I'm just like humping away at this thing
What?
because like it just felt good, you know. And I remember like
God, dude. Okay,
I
continue.
heard voices behind me, and when I looked, like two of the parents, the mothers, were like looking and pointing at me. And I was alone in the room, just like completely lost in just like making love to this AI bot.
Oh shit.
Um,
Okay, continue. Wrap this up. What's the point here? What are we saying?
no,
Okay.
so what I'm saying is like maybe I was just like a pervert or something from young, but I don't like that was way before puberty or whatever. I don't know why that was in me to want to do that, but like I already there was like some type of pleasure I was getting from
Well, okay.
it.
Listen, you. Okay. Okay, I bet you if you.
Are
I
you
mean,
doing
I've.
your conducting skills? I'm just asking.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You know, I'm an
Okay.
amateur, but I'm trying to get the
No, I'm
skills
just
better.
imagine you just completely forgot about
No, no.
it. But yeah, it's yes, it's a very like it's to me, it's in my own experience, but that's literally what I was doing back then at 6.
Uh, it happened once, yeah.
I would obviously with the ball pit, but
Okay. Listen, here's the thing.
I do
I
I do
bet you if
remember
you.
like doing it with like pillows and stuff as well as a kid.
Okay, okay. What I'll say is that I'm sure, I'm sure if you studied.
Bro's completely stumped.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm trying to
Man,
like.
this is how I make it sound normal. Like, no,
If
it's
you
not
studied, look
normal.
here. Here's one thing you have to understand is that Freud, someone like Freud, but I don't know. I
But he
haven't.
was a sicko, I hear.
I hear,
Well,
but I've never studied it. But obviously, his whole thing about psychoanalysis, as far as I've understood it, is that sexuality is at the root of human beings, right? Um, we're not going to go too deeply into gendering and things like that, but it's at the root of human beings. Um, Even as a young kid, around the age you're describing, I definitely knew that I liked girls. Um, Many people describe it as like, and around 6, not too young, but like around 6, I was like definitely like, oh, I like girls. Like, um, may not really have understood the act, right? But I definitely knew that I like girls. Many people tell me that they thought girls are gross and stuff. I never thought that. I never thought like girls are gross. Um, Perhaps that's also my some kind of overdevelopment. I don't know. I have no idea. Um, but ooh, this is a deep question. Is there anything that is there anything that and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Is there anything that happened to you that you think may have sexualized you early?
there was one thing. I don't think I've
Hmm.
actually told anybody this.
Hmm.
Um, at least not on a podcast. I think I've told
It's
like
not, brother.
one.
This is a safe space. We're in a safe space here,
It's
okay?
like, you just like put your hands together, like let it all out, let them all hear. No, no, but the place in itself is very blurry to me. But I do remember something when I was like very young. Could be like 5, might be
Yeah.
6, maybe even 4. Um, and I don't know where it was, but I remember there was like these two older women. Now, how old were they exactly? I'm not sure. Could they have been teenagers? It feels like they could have been that, uh, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were like in their 20s. But I do remember that they like it's so strange because I remember it so clearly. Just they were sitting in this other
Let it
room,
out. Let it
right?
out.
Oh, just no, no. So they were sitting in like this other room, like hanging out over there, and I was like walking around. Whatever place I was at, I don't remember. But what I do remember is that we used to go with my dad, traveling all around while he was working. So because we were little kids, we had to go with him, and he went all over the country almost. So there would be a lot of places, houses where he would be working, and we would just be hanging out around the house and meeting all these different people.
Yeah.
So these are just multiple different houses like that you're going to over the course of years and years. But I do remember. So it could have been one of those houses where it happened. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, these like I'm like hanging around them or whatever, and I don't know how it even gets to it, but like they like teach me how to like make out.
Mm.
Like some type of I don't even know how it would get to that situation or whatever. And
These are
I'm
kids. Something you gotta
literally
understand. There's a lot of like, usually there's one kid that sometimes older, sometimes not, who then infects the other kids with that experience. So obviously, a
yeah.
kid started learning that and then brought it into the group. But I'll tell you, okay, continue.
So But like I said, these are two grown. I just remember them like being very strong. Even their mouths were like strong.
Wait,
Um,
wait. So, okay, you were a kid. Who?
I was
How?
like 4 or 5.
And these other kids were, or
Not kids. These like women. Like
okay,
I'm saying.
okay.
Um, just like the reason why I say that is because it was almost like these are like they reminded me of the other older woman in the like that I've known, like the other people there in the house and all the other places I've been to. Like I know kids. These were like if not teenagers that I looked at and were like, "Oh, these are older." They were in their 20s or I mean, then your guess is as good as mine. But anyways, so I make out with the one and I just remember smiling, just and I they tell me to leave, right? So I go out the door and I'm just like, dude, I have this like ecstasy running through me. Like, what was that? Like, like you're obviously
Mm,
making out like French kissing. And then I
yes,
run back
dude.
in there. I run back in there, dude. And then I make out with the other one as well. And they just laughing the whole time. Like I just remember something about them saying, "Oh, he likes it" or something like that. Um, and then eventually they like closed the door where I couldn't open it because I wouldn't stop going back. Like I was just enjoying it so much. So,
Well, I
um,
mean, that kind of
yeah.
explains it, brother. Uh, yeah,
I know you're shocked, but that is literally what happened.
I mean, look, I have a crazy story, but it's not even appropriate. I think the channel might.
Dude got touched by older man.
No, no.
Crazy.
Can I say fortunately it was someone of similar age, but it's and what's but without going into the details of it, I didn't
Okay, yeah,
even
because I didn't just lay it all out
yeah, but
now.
yours is just trust me when I say like that's way more that's like mild.
It's a
That's
more appropriate.
yes,
Okay,
it's a more appropriate story.
because it's an older woman and a younger guy.
No, no, not like that. Because
Oh
of
my gosh.
let's say if we're talking about that classic system of home runs and first base, you're discussing a story of first base, whereas mine is like third base or something like that. Um, at a
What
young,
is that even? I like honestly, I've
that's
never
your problem to
known
figure
what the
out. That's
bases
your
are.
problem and everyone else's to figure out whether
No,
home.
because I mean, look, I know what a home run would obviously
I think
be,
home run
right?
is four bases, right? It's like there's four bases
I
or
thought it
what?
was 3 bases, but
I don't
I
know,
think it's
but
4.
whatever
But
is not
anyways,
the home run.
I know first base is obviously kissing.
Are you
Second
really gonna
base
get this? Okay.
is like groping, you know. But that's all I know
My
about that.
point being, Mikey, is that uh, someone showed me something. I had no idea what it was, and
He
just like
showed you
what
his
you
penis.
and just know, yes, no, it wasn't anything like that. It wasn't any. I mean, for some
Get
people,
your hand off my
here's the thing.
penis!
For some people, you know what? This succulent chicken, no, succulent
Are you
Chinese
here
meal.
ready to receive my limp penis? I see you know your judo well.
I almost feel like playing that video right now. Anyway, no, let's not. Um, okay.
Oh my gosh, dude. It's the best video of all time. Like that guy. This is democracy. It's so good, dude. He's like that guy's like one of the coolest people of all
Do you
time,
think
man.
that accent is fake? Like, is it put on the way that he Anyway,
Yeah, so you know, like how that's kind of at that point that was like the voice of the entertainer on the
yes,
radio
but that
or
was put on. That's
the
obviously not
TV
how he spoke.
box. I mean, the talking box. No, but he's an Australian guy.
Yes.
This is democracy. Because you know what where it actually stems from? I think it's from those Charlie Chaplin movies. You know, like The Great Dictator or whatever.
Okay.
And so that's probably the influence. You've seen that speech of Charlie Chaplin
Yeah, yeah, the great
in The Great
dictator.
Dictator, and like it's everybody goes on about it. But he talks in that way, so I'm guessing like that's the influence at that time is very much like this is how it is.
The
Whereas
radio
now
voice.
it's probably more like Kanye. I'm not gonna say who, you know.
Yes.
Uh,
Um. Yeah, but look, just to close that loop, um, third base experience, had no idea what it really was. Just knew that like, oh, that feels interesting.
oh
And
Lord.
I think that is what obviously triggered me at an early age to be like, I like girls. And
Well,
understand
look,
that
dude.
and what I want to say here is that it's interesting to me, and I feel like it should be horrific that so many of us have gone through some more traumatic than others, right? Um, that that children get exposed to to the sexualization at such an early age. It's not natural, and I don't think it's natural. I don't think so. I mean, not at
You
that
hope it's
age.
not
No, I
natural,
hope
is
it's not
what you're
natural.
trying to say.
Not at that
Because think
age.
about with my situation, right? There's no reason why that doesn't happen in a tribe. You see?
I'm sure there have been or are certain tribes where that is a norm,
No,
but
no,
I
I'm not saying
think,
that it's like a part of their culture. I just mean, even if it's just two random, whatever their ages are, and I don't know. It's essentially, I guess, pedophilia if you think about it.
well,
Um,
what happened to you is 100% pedophilia. What's my case is, in my case, what my question would be, okay, this girl's 1 year older than me. Who, where did she say this and say, where did she get to the point which is like, hey, I want to show you something,
the
right?
thing is, maybe
Like,
she saw her parents. That's normally how it happens. They see their parents doing it. Oh my goodness. And then they're confused and then they grab the nearest boy and they're like, I want to show you something because they're confused about it.
mm,
So most of the time it's that. Like there are darker sources as well, but who knows? The thing is,
I just realized something.
this life is
How
like,
the hell are we going to caption this episode? We can't. We need to change the topic soon so that we can just like have something else as
dude,
well in
who
there.
cares about that? As far as I'm concerned, I'm just talking to my friend. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I actually forgot we were even doing anything other than that. Um,
yeah. But what's important also is that we know that dude, we've known each other for decades. We've never, as far as I remember, ever spoken about this. And it just shows you that this is right next door. Like, it's not something that's just in a movie, it's not something
oh
that's just in
yeah,
books.
exactly.
It's literally everywhere. And there are other people who've shared similar stories with me where I've just sat back and listened and not judged because I obviously had my own experience. But now it's like, oh my goodness, it's
Dude, I told you that story that someone told me about. And I
no,
won't repeat
don't,
it. I won't repeat it yet, but I'm
don't.
just saying that look how extreme that is. Like
Mm.
that is happening. Like, think about that. That is happening. And what I will say to, I won't say the story, but a friend was kind of like, not kind of, was a victim, but not in any way that people are thinking right now. But yeah,
No, but don't. Yeah,
I'll
it's
I'll
it's
just
so it's
I'll just
it's
leave it at that.
yeah.
But what I'm saying is, there's these pockets of reality where if we knew everything, we would. I mean, you'd probably just try end your life.
It's crazy, man. You know
It
what
would be
really?
this complete overload of of everything. You'd be
Um,
like, but at the same time, there's just as much good, and unfortunately, because we are what we are, we come from that survival state. Anything that is we perceive as bad, right? It affects us harder. Case in point, if there's 10 comments on a video on like or post someone makes and it's all good stuff. Oh, this is great. Oh man, thanks for dropping this. I needed this information. Oh, you're so underrated. It's like incredible. If one person says, "Oh, you're shit," that one comment will literally affect you worse than anything else that was said, even though the ratio is completely
disproportionate.
one-sided,
Yes.
disproportionate. Yeah. So it's the same thing about life. Even if there's like 10 incredible stories you can bring up now about the most incredible things happening, all it takes is one story for all of that to be thrown away and for you to be like, this is an evil world. And the rain has just started pouring here my side. It's kind of amazing. But so, and I think that's obviously got to do with survival instincts. We spoke about it last
Dude.
time, hunter gatherers and stuff. But
Mm.
if someone gets bitten by a snake, the whole tribe has to be wary of snakes. And the person brings back the snake with its head caved in, and it was like, it was this thing, it was this thing. And now when we're walking in the field, everybody's on high alert for that thing, that snake. You
It,
see?
is it that, or is it because I think what you just described um, taps into something else that's more. Um, I don't know if it's exactly that the same story. I think what you're talking about is shared learning, but I think that what actually is at the root here is survival, as you said, in order to allow the psyche, the conscious mind to continue to operate without the excess burden of true reality, of all the realities. It sort of suppresses that those type of memories. And I might be going on a tangent here, but that has a lot to do, or that leads potentially, if the traumas are too great, to compartmentalization of the psyche, which is when you basically, even when at the extreme of that, you create multiple personalities, where you just capsule this off and you say, that didn't happen to me, that happened to your mind. Like, even you consciously, you're not aware of it, but like, that happened to another person, right? It never happened to me. Because otherwise, how can you continue to smile at people, laugh at jokes, and go to work and all these things? How can you continue to function like that? And that was obviously also exploited by programs we know now, US funded programs like MK Ultra. Mm, and
Okay, so you're going down that rabbit hole.
I'm just saying, like, it's a fact, right? And you and I, we spoke about this once, several times, I think. Darren Brown, that UK
Yeah, yeah. The mentalist.
mentalist. He, first of all, I just want to say that guy does an amazing thing showcasing what the human mind actually can do, can be manipulated. Um, and in one of his specials, he took someone, he selected someone, he had several candidates sat down, he spoke to them a bit, and based on his interaction with them, he then selected an individual that he felt would be most perceptible or a most receptive to this treatment, easily
is what you
manipulated
really
basically.
mean.
And then he programmed this person into assassinating someone. I mean, in the instance of this showcase, it wasn't a real gun, and it didn't have bullets, right? The person wasn't killed, but he showed that you can program someone and then to do something, and then you can set the trigger for that programming through
The
a woman in a
prompt.
through a woman in a polka dot dress, certain
Exactly.
sounds, and then someone just saying like certain words, and suddenly this person, you saw it in this special, was sitting there, goes to the bathroom, collects a gun from a preordained place where he knew it would be, goes back into the auditorium and just like shoots someone. He is shooting someone and doesn't realize it. So that it's not just an it's no longer a conspiracy theory. In fact, I'm surprised Darren Brown is still alive. I was sure I'm sure that he would have like been shut up
Dude, this is
just for
the
showing that.
problem with it is this is that there are certain things that, I mean, you can call them the powers that be or anything like that. You know, there's always a them, they, right?
Yeah,
That's out there. That's
trying to get you.
like some type of conspiracy, the man, right? Like in Undercover Brother. But the real truth is that some things are just too big for human beings to actually comprehend that that is possible and that there should be any concern in that, because it's really outside of the realm of their day-to-day life and living. So when Darren Brown puts out those things, people look at it and they go, "Oh my goodness, that's insane." But then a week later, after they've told all their friends, it's out their minds because it's you can't hold on to something like that. You know, there was one where
It's
he
too
basic
it breeds too much distrust, and it will fracture their hamper their ability to continue functioning as they were before, right? I mean, that's definitely what it would do, wouldn't it? Because if you know
it,
that
it would be, but at the same time, it's kind of in the realm of there's also a bit of arrogance there where people are like, ah, you can't do that to me. You can do it to that guy because that person was whatever, but I would never be fooled by that. You know, so there's also that type of arrogance that also leads people to believe that no, this I can see it happening with a certain kind of person, but not me.
isn't it denial parading as arrogance? Because really, what it is, and I've seen this as well with like scientific discoveries. Like there's still people who feel like, oh, it's amazing. Actually, don't ever go on Facebook anymore. It's just
I,
a cesspit.
Dude,
People,
old people go on Facebook,
yeah,
brother.
people don't want to deal with truths because it means what I know is not true anymore. And I don't want to be bothered with re educating myself, right? So you see it all the
Especially
time.
with scientific discoveries, like you
Dude,
said.
it's like, oh, but that's going to make me now have to relearn something. Nah.
And you have to the all think about all the books that are in the universities that they literally study from. All of those, like not all of them, but if you come up with a new discovery, now all those books sort of become null and void now.
Yeah. You
But
see it.
you're gonna now have to change the lay of the land just because of this new discovery that might help us. Like,
Yes.
no, I'm gonna die. That's why they say there's that one saying where it's like, ah, man, I don't know the exact saying. Maybe you can pull it up where they say like the only time you can change like the scientific um beliefs or whatever is when those people die, something along those lines.
Mm. Yeah, well, I
Only when
mean,
those people die will you be able to reintroduce the new discoveries, because those old scientists are not gonna, they might go home and believe it there, but teaching it and stuff they won't change,
yeah, but it's
because this is how I learned it and that's it.
it's true. I mean, we see this even with the idea of the Bantu migration. I'll bring this a bit little closer to our story. Um, the Bantu migration story has been told for hundreds, like 200 years now in South Africa. Oh, well, actually, the Bantus only arrived in like the 15th. Huh? No, some of them say like 17th century or something. Oh, they arrived after the Dutch settlers, all these kind of things. But we have the archaeological sites, right, that show no, it's not true. They may have been nomadic in their lifestyle, but they were there. And in many cases, it's not even a nomadic lifestyle. I mean, we have the Ngwenya mines in Swaziland that
But
are
didn't they say that there must have been white folks here?
that's some of the things the first people who discovered the Great Zimbabwe came up with. Like, oh, it was actually some must have been a white race that then got lost, probably eaten by the savages. I don't know, but the Ngwenya mines, for example, where hematite, which is like an iron ore, iron ore was mined, at least 48,000 years old. Now, guys, you can just Google this yourself. It's a World Heritage site, basically. It's in UNESCO. It's not something that, it's not fringe. It exists. At least 48,000 years old, right? Now, I'm not saying that necessarily they were doing iron ore, iron smelting or something, but they were mining and it was ceremonial. So this is obviously showing that there were people living there. Then you look at Moana Motepe or something in South Africa.
You're just making up names
No,
now.
I mean I can
No, I just imagine it would be like hilarious.
um before I even check
Like
Manua.
you put two movies together, like Moana, Lion King.
Oh, sorry. No, it's Mutapa, right?
Or
Mun.
you just like Akuna Matata, mine.
It's Munhumutapa, empire, right? Mwena Mutapa, exactly. It's different pronunciations. Mutapa. It's a Karanga kingdom, right? That's already like across Angola, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and then there's other places that at least were quite vibrant cities up until the 15th century that are right smack in South Africa. And I mean, if you've got like a city built on a hill with a king, and you're mining gold and you're smelting gold, well, guess what? You're not a nomadic tribe, right? And you didn't show up yesterday and are like, today we're going to build walls and a kingdom, all organized, everything. That doesn't happen like that, right? We know this. Kingdoms, they need time. First, there's some kind of feudal system, and then, people start organizing themselves into, we're going to have workers and they're going to mine, and then we're going to learn smelting and then smelt that. So, my point being here,
So
without
what's your
going,
point?
my
I was
point
about
is,
to ask.
my point is Why do people still hold on to the Bantu migration? Because they don't want to let it go. No one is saying that white people get out of South Africa. It's we know that you came, you're here, we're one. It's been hundreds of years. But when you deny facts, it's like a mental illness now, right? And it's weird. It's like if something happens between us, right? You and I are friends, and then we reconcile in a way, but then you're like, oh, remember that time when you smacked me across the face? I'm like, nah, never happened. Doesn't that make you distrustful of me? Like, I get it. You did smack
Yeah,
me.
look,
We're
of
over it.
course, but
But why are you
the thing
pretending it never
is,
happened?
look, I mean, that's it's for each person, right, to deal with that within their own spirit. But of course, it would cause a rift, right? Because the one person is, I mean, even the words "remember the time you smacked me" means that they're not over it, and then the other
But you
person
can laugh about it. That's the
is
thing.
coming from the point of denial and guilt and probably a bit of shame. They're saying, "No, no, I don't remember that." Maybe, I mean, you spoke about this before, the compartmentalizing things. Maybe the only way to deal with it is to just push it into a place where it cannot be seen
Oh,
again.
snap. You're
Uh,
saying this could actually be on a societal level. You're right. You're right.
exactly.
I,
But
I
back
get
to
it.
your first point, you know.
Wait, Snap, before we just jump on the snap next point, you're right. I could understand that it will make a white person feel uncomfortable, even to remember that, like, "Eesh, yeah, my great great granddad might have been a dick, actually." Um, which is why you always hear them saying, you hear our white South African friends telling us stories like, well, my father was always against that. Look, like, I'm not
Uh,
gonna talk about that right now, but like, let's be honest, chances are either he didn't care because he's benefiting, or he wasn't motivated to do anything. Not everyone can have the same story of, well, my grandfather, he wasn't for that. It's not true. You just have to come to the terms with like, yeah, I knew it was going on. I
the
was
thing
probably
is,
racist.
this is
It's
not
I'm
to
sorry.
cut you
It's
off, but
yeah.
at the same time, we kind of also have to look at it in this way. Like, what do we want people to do? Like, do you want, like, you remember with the George Floyd thing? It was so hilarious.
Ooh,
Not
okay. Here we
him
go.
being killed, but I'm talking
Okay,
about
thanks for
like the the whole like the insanity of people around, right? Where you had those BLM marches, and then you had like all these white people like literally bowing down like that
what do you mean
to
bowing down?
any black person who walked past, and like they'd be crying and tears,
No,
and then
that you're
like
lying. That never
wanting to.
happened.
Dude, I'm not lying. It
What do you
was
mean
like
like
at the
bowing down?
protest. They were like bowing to them, like to be. I don't know for what it is. It just seems like people who are kooky, but they were trying to show that we lower ourselves to you, black people. Um,
That's not
and
necessary. But all
but
that's
what I'm
yeah.
saying is is that what people want? Like,
No,
at what point? Like, what do we want people to do?
no.
Is it like going to be going on forever? Some people say if you just ignore it, like the person who says, "Oh, I don't remember that," you're actually fixing the problem quicker
no.
because now you're removing it now, even if it's by force and it's a lie. You're removing it from the psyche of the collective consciousness,
No.
as
I
people
I
say.
I think it's completely the opposite. I think that
So you want him to bow down and wash your feet in the
no.
street.
Why do you have to go to
This
the
is for George Floyd.
why do you have to take it to the extreme? You see, and I'm speaking only from my own perspective because I can't speak for every single person of color. But We can get over it. We're over it. But let's tell it how it is. That wasn't cool. You understand?
But
That
don't you
wasn't.
think
Hold on,
people
hold on.
know that?
No, they don't, Mikey. That's what's so trippy. For every white South African or even a white person in America who realized like, man, that was really messed up what my ancestors did, and that's a messed up system. I'm glad we're over that. You have others who are like, oh, it wasn't so bad. They had it. In fact, they had it better back then. It's weird.
We've
Like,
all been slaves once upon a
you know
time in
what I mean?
history.
Like, why are you trying to generalize it like that? Like, it was systematic. It's not cool, and that breeds distrust. Every time a person wants to, and you know this, Mikey. Come on, in your own experience, every time we're trying to like move past it, there's some person who has to throw the K word around, and it's like, weren't we just starting to get
Just
along?
say it,
Like,
man. I
no,
don't know
no, I'm
what
not gonna
these
say it. I don't want
K
this.
words and N words.
You know,
Like, we're not children here, bro.
Everyone who's South African, you know what the K word is. And every now and again, you just hear someone throwing it around, and it's like, why? Why? Why do we? I thought, like, if we're gonna fight, let's just fight one on one. There's nothing I respect more than a white and a black person who have a disagreement and they just don't like each other. And you know that it's purely because they don't like each other. It's as people, because then now we're getting to that's the way it should be. Like, you don't like me, I don't
I
like you.
don't
It's
know.
not
I
because of
think we should, by we we need to stop giving power to these things, and
but how
it's
do you
like
do that?
it's
Because
based in
everything.
fear. No, because think about it. If you can't now say a word, right, then it means that, like, take everybody else out of it. You personally, I mean, I've been called it many times, but what I'm saying is, if there's something that's inside of your in your own capacity that's like, no, there's too much weight in this word, I won't even say it, then that's something to reflect on and be like, but why? Why am I giving this thing so much power?
But Mikey, if I can throw a little pinch of salt in that or whatever, it happens all the time. For example, the word fuck. It wasn't.
The F word, are you kidding me?
Hold on. It
On a
wasn't.
podcast.
Listen. it. It's not like this for kids anyway. This was never a. It wasn't a dirty word before. There was a time when it was just a word used to describe intercourse between animals. But because people abused the word, it developed connotations that are seen as negative and are now crass. Just like the word retarded. If we're being factual, retardation, right? Flame retardant means it hinders the development of flames. So retardation literally means hindered progression or hindered development. So saying someone is suffering from mental retardation was a factual scientific term. But because kids or whatever, or people started using words like, oh, he's a retard and all those things, now it developed the negative connotation. So now we don't say that. Now we've changed and we say
People,
disabled or
people have
mentally
brought it back.
disabled.
I think people have gotten over the dumb stuff of words, right? I think we need to get to a point where we realize that, yes,
Sorry, by the way, when
um,
you're done with your point, I need to take a quick intermission. 1 minute, 30 seconds. Continue.
yeah, it's fine. But what I'm saying is that we will eventually get to the point where we realize, you know, these words, we give them the power, and I'm not saying that there isn't power in them, but it's literally in contrast to how much you put on it. There's some racist words that people used against me, I had no idea what it even meant,
Mm.
right? I didn't even know that that's what I was called, right? Hottentot, because that's, it stems from the word Hottentot. That was it was a racial slur to the colored people. And but when I was in grade 6 and I went to this new school, and the one dude, was two white guys in front of me, and I was talking, and the one dude just looked so confused, and he turned to the other guy and he pointed at me. He's like, "Is he a hotnot?" Like very confused.
Mm.
And then the other guy was like, "No, no, no, don't call him that. Don't call him that." And I'm just like looking at them like, "What are you guys talking about? Like, why are you acting like he just said a bad word? And why are you asking me if I'm that?"
Mm.
There was no weight on that.
Yeah.
And then guess what happened? I find out, oh, that's a bad word that they use against colored people. And guess what happens a few years down the line? I actually end up getting into a fight with someone, a fist fight, because that's what he called me. Whereas not even a few years ago, but maybe a decade or something before that,
You had no idea what it was.
I had no idea what it was.
That's
So this is what I'm trying to say.
that's the same. I have.
Look, you can pause. We'll just take a quick break. You can pause the
Okay.
recording, but make sure you push pause and not end.
I don't even know how to do that. I'll,
Literally, where you push start recording, on the side of it, there's a yellow pause button. Whereas if you click the actual recording, it will end the whole thing. The pause will just pause it until you start it from over, I guess. What's going on, man? What's all this dead air? Yeah. Testing, testing. Anyways, so basically, I don't know if he's there or not, but if there's technical issues, but so that's all I'm trying to say about these words, right? N word, K word, H word. There's gonna be a time one day where none of these are even gonna be in use, and then it's gonna be stuff like, oh, you can't call them a robot, because that's what it's gonna be when you have androids walking among us in human
okay.
suits.
Hold on, my man. Um.
Where
Okay.
were you, dude?
Listen. First of all,
Why did you go quiet the whole time?
because I went to go do what I did. Um.
But you never told me.
I did. You went. What I
So you did pause it, right?
There is nothing like that here. I'll have to edit it in CapCut. No stress. Okay. Now, look. You're describing something really crazy. The power of the word and how it had no power over you. And then until you knew what it meant, or until you knew that it was specifically meant to.
No, until someone gave it power and told me
Yes, but
no.
I'm describing the mechanism here, is that you didn't know what it meant. Then you were told what it meant, and you were told, obviously by its meaning, that this is meant to demean me, right? And I have a similar story like that.
But even
Um,
over the years prior to me, like it actually like becoming a seed that sprouted, people would say it all the time, and it didn't affect me. I didn't care. I had colored friends who would get upset, and I would always be like, "Bro,
so what
it's
was it
like,
that
why? What are
created?
you getting so upset
So what
about?"
was it that
The
did
thing
that?
that made me eventually, that was literally, I would link it to. the fact it was like not an ego thing, but I'm using it now to
Everything is
stand
an
up for
ego thing.
myself.
Continue.
No, so basically, like, if later on the reason why I was like, you're not gonna call me that, wasn't because of the word, was because someone is trying to belittle me. And that's what I'm standing up to.
Yes.
You're not gonna call me this. Even though I know that word truly doesn't mean anything to me on that level. But I can use that word now because hey, I remember I was told that that's a bad word, even though I never even knew what it meant before. And I can use that as my right to swing and fight now. So I wouldn't say it was the word, I would say I just used the word. I weaponized the word to get into a fight. You're not going to tell me I'm whatever. I've been walked on too long in my life. I'm going to stand up for myself now.
That could be it. I'm just meditating upon what you've said. I'm also trying to consider how a word is said, right? Because even words like boy, when said, yeah, because when a word,
Boy feels heavier to me, I will say that.
you see, but that's the whole thing, is that someone can say to me, ah, my boy, it's fine, and then be like, boy. You see, someone is imbuing it with a hate, with
It's only the power
demeaning.
that you give to it that is actually where it comes from. Even
Mikey,
if it's the person saying it.
Mikey, I can say hello, and I can weaponize hello against you, so
Hello?
that you, yes, I can do that, and then it'll make you feel like, okay, this guy said hello, but it actually sounds like an fu straight, and that's what I mean. Is that I think it's a dance between the two. Now, let me tell you my story with the K word, with Kaffir. First time I heard it, I was in, obviously, I was now living in Cape Town, going to the German school. Some kids said it to me. Ironically, someone who like had a frenemy friend situation, like now I would consider him a friend. I'm not going to mention his name. And he said it to me, and he was angry, but I was like, it was like you said, it was like a dud had fired, and I was like, okay. And my other white friend like pulled me to the side. He's like, oh, he's not supposed to say that. I'm like, why? What does it mean? He's like, go ask your mom or your dad, you know. And then later that evening at home, you know, I'm just like chilling there, forgotten about it. And then I was like, oh yeah, by the way, this kid said this word to me. What does it mean? And then my dad wasn't angry. I don't remember my mom really being angry, but you know, she could tell. She was like, and they explained to me what that word meant, and they obviously called the parents and was like, look, this is what happened. And oh yes, I remember very clearly now. And he wrote me a letter. And he wrote me a letter. Hold on. This is the right way to do it, because he wrote me a letter and he told me, look, I'm really sorry. My parents explained to me that word has a lot of history behind it. And I don't want, like, even if we're fighting, I don't want to hold that over you. Like, we're just fighting as kids. There's no point to bring up all that history of it. And I accepted the apology, and I was like, straight, yeah, that's fine. And it literally healed it. It was done. I was never called that word again. You know, we still obviously didn't always get eye to eye, but it was
perfectly fine. You guys held hands and you cried.
No, but Maggie, you have a very a strange way of perceiving it. Like, your idea of let's never talk about it and it will heal itself.
That's like, no one ever said that. Who said anything about let's never talk about it?
You literally said there's people who believe if we just ignore it, it'll heal itself.
But did I say that?
Okay, fine. It just came out of
You,
your
you
mouth.
see, you're
It just
trying to
came out
make
of your
it seem
mouth.
like it's something it's
It
not.
just came out of your mouth.
Um,
You never said it. Fine. But my point being is that when you
gosh.
discuss,
What you said now of writing letters, being pen pals, is the goyest thing I've ever heard in my life.
everyone's a little goy sometimes. What I'm trying to say
That's
here.
copyright, by the way. But anyways,
Okay.
what I'm saying is, don't try. I mean, people can hear this. They can hear what I said, and they can hear how you're trying to shift it. So to keep that in mind as well. Is
Okay.
that
Okay.
I see what you're saying, but the whole thing of where the parents are coming together and now, because there's examples of this where the kids' parents now have to come there and wash the other people's feet.
What example
Whatever
are
it
you
is.
talking about? Where that's never. I'm so sure that's never happened. I'm so sure. I'm so sure.
Oh my gosh, it's actually so.
You make me wanna. You
It's
make me wanna
actually
now generate an
amazing.
AI photo
No,
of Jesus, a black Jesus,
dude,
and like white
you see
disciples.
like the white parents like she's wearing like the domestic worker outfit, the mom, and the dad is in the garden. Like that's how they do their apology. Um,
Look, if
but what I'm saying is that this type of thing is just insane. It's just as insane as everything else. There needs to be like it's this whole thing about what happened in the present moment. Okay. Okay, this thing happened. I went and I asked about it. Now it's an opportunity to maybe learn a little bit of history. Okay, cool. I understand that. But stretching it out now.
what's stretched out? He literally, Mikey. I'm telling you
He
that
he
you were.
told you the thing in the moment. You told your parents. All they did, they explain it to you.
Mm-hmm.
But what what reparations do you need after that?
What are you
Oh, I
talking
see.
about,
That's a bad thing. I get it.
Mikey? You are
Now
talking.
it's like the people's parents have to get involved because some type of punishment needs to be
What
dished
punishment are
out.
you talking about, Mikey?
The kid
In
was writing letters.
Mikey. You're not sounding like someone who's spiritually elevated. What happened was his parents are the best people to explain it to him. Not me, not the teachers. The parents can explain to him, this is what it actually means, my boy. So even though you heard your uncle say it or your grandfather, this is what it means. And that's not how you do it.
But we
And
know
hold
that he
on,
learnt
hold
it
on,
from the
hold on,
parents.
hold on,
Like,
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Now he has an opportunity to understand. Good. I understand. He understands. Now comes the next part, which is him coming back to me. Because if I understand and he understands, that's not enough. Because now I might have some kind of resentment. But the best way to do it is then he comes to me. He didn't write many volumes. He just wrote one letter.
volumes.
Hold
The
on.
dude wrote a novel about the time
Hold
I
on.
called him that.
Hold on. And then he apologizes. And I accept the apology. And it's healed. That example was the best example. It's a template for
So
how.
here's a
Hold on.
clarifying
Hold on.
question.
Here, it's a template for how you can resolve something and it can heal. Because two things happened. One, he never called me that again. Two, I never felt any resentment towards him after that. So we've healed the matter through an apology. That's how you do it.
Okay,
Understanding,
here's something that
understanding.
I want
And
clarification
this
on.
is therapy 101. Otherwise, I'm going to book a
When
therapist
he
for you.
called you that,
Yeah.
you didn't feel anything.
No, I didn't.
So why would you need healing?
because that prevents me from finding out later and then being like, oh my gosh, it hurts me. Do you understand? Because
Okay, so did you not hear what I just said? Someone called you something. It meant absolutely nothing to you. Then people put it in your head that you have to be hurt about this thing and you need healing from it, even though you couldn't have been bothered.
what do you mean? I mean, I get what you. No, I
What,
get what
what
you're
do you
saying.
mean?
I understand what you're saying. That you are trying to put it that by explaining what this means, they are putting the trigger to be hurt into my mind.
I'm saying if it didn't hurt you when it happened, then what is there to heal from?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Today, if we meet, we laugh about it. But if it had not been that case, let me tell you another example. Let me give you another example. No, let me give you another
Like,
example.
We've,
Hold on.
we've look here, we've peeled back a good layer here.
But
So what I'm saying is these are good things to explore because it's a very simple thing I've asked. I'm saying that you had actually surpassed it in your consciousness
surpassed it or never been
as
exposed?
a person who's black who got called a kafir, then being like, I don't know what that is. Imagine it was left there. You grew up, and a lot happened to a bunch of other people. They grew up, and the world just lost all its power. Instead of the older people coming and telling you how you're supposed to feel about something, even that other snitch friend of yours, who I would say in air quotes friend, where the word had power to him because his dad and mom was probably saying it as well.
No, because they were South
These people
African.
put
They
this
were South
idea
African.
in your head,
Yeah.
just like the people put it in my head.
Okay,
It's
that's
the
one
same
way.
thing.
That's one way. Let me ask you. Let's not make it about. I want to also tell you this example of a second time where it happened and what the difference is here. Okay, let me first start by telling you the second example, and then I'll switch it up so that we see whether your idea really works or not. So there's another example. For context, the reason I didn't really understand is because I had grown up in Germany, and these other two white kids, although they were German speaking, grew up in South Africa, probably also born in South Africa. So for them, that's how they knew it as well. Secondly,
Right.
another
I'm
kid,
joking.
years later, still in the German school, called me that and would call me that when he had nothing, because I was a chatty kid, and I was not easily bullied. So like, if you
I
no,
know
listen,
that.
yeah, if basically if you try to bully me with words, I'll just tell you like F off, that's not how it is, and I'll tell you straight back. So his last resort now was, okay, I'm gonna pull
Yeah.
out the K word, right? And I would look at him like, dude, that's so pathetic. And here's the crazy part. He never apologized. I never bothered to tattletale on him either. Right? So he's used
Was this before or after the other situation?
after the other situation, right?
So
I
the
knew
the word has been put like already placed in your mind.
it's already
at
been
this
placed
point.
in my mind. I knew what it was, and I didn't feel the need to now like hit him, but I knew like, okay, this guy's trying to hurt me. Cool. Because he can't figure out anything else. And years later, I think I was like 22, and I was walking around in Cape Town, and he bumped into me on the street. And dude, this is the craziest thing. I could see in his face there's so much he wanted to say. Like him using that word against me. And I'm completely over it now. I'm just like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? And he couldn't it's like difficult. Like he had this difficulty. Like there's this
No, so what?
unease in his
Explain it a
chest.
little bit more, because it's a little bit vague right now. Like,
Okay,
what exactly did you see in his face? Like,
he's
what are you
like,
trying to
hey,
say?
basically he's like, hey, Mguni, ah, man, long time. Like there's something
So you don't
awkward.
think his life was terrible, and he just happened to bump into you at that point,
No,
and
I
he
don't
was
think
going
it's.
through his own personal stuff?
No, I don't think it's that because why would it be associated with me? You're meeting me in the street.
Not with you. It's just like, oh, hey, man.
No,
I'm
it
also
wasn't.
happy, man.
No, it wasn't like that
I've lost
because
everything, but I'm here talking to you.
usually when people go when that's the case, people have difficulty making eye contact. He was making eye contact with me, but like in this like, hey man, there's something I've always wanted to say. And at that point, it wasn't the first thing on my mind. I was just like, okay, we bumped into each other on the street. I'm with this girl here, beautiful, and we're walking around and
So you
like
was the girl.
yes, I was warm, but he really wanted to like catch up or something, and I was just like, yeah, okay, man, peace. And then I realized afterwards, like, oh yeah, that's what that is. It's that unsaid. I bet you, I'm willing to bet you, if we had spoken a little bit longer, he would have been like, yeah, man, by the way, like, I really never really meant to say that to you. I was
So
just
you
I was
believe
going
if
through
he wrote
something.
you a letter,
If no, it
he
doesn't have
wouldn't
to be a
have been in
letter.
that,
Why do you have to be so
or
dramatic, Mikey? Why you gotta be so dramatic? Who's talking about a
it's
letter?
just funny, dude. It's a callback to the letter thing. I think it's just funny. I have this
Okay,
image in my head of like people writing letters, and it's
with
so stupid.
hearts.
But
Yeah, okay.
exactly, and it's like fragrant paper. And,
High quality textured. You can tell there's
you
some
it's like,
effort here.
oh, he's using his father's pen. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
but like what I'm saying is that first of all, those things could, and you can admit this, have nothing to do with each other. You don't know his life. You said you were like, what, 22, 24?
Mm.
Like, how much has happened in that time? What if he lost
You know
both his
why?
parents or
No,
something like that?
you know what I
Like,
think it was. Why I'm saying that it had something
you
to do with
wanted
that.
to be that, is what I'm
No,
saying.
I don't believe it's just that because even and this is the trippy part. Um, it doesn't something like that. It just doesn't leave, especially when it happens in the formative years. It doesn't just leave your psyche. As you grow older, you inadvertently start to think. You see, this is the thing about coming into age. As you grow older and you realize, as life hits you and you hope for something and it doesn't work out, and those kind of things humble you, you start to think back on the people that you've hurt. And you think to yourself, I hope he knows that I was just going through something. You must have this as a person, right? I mean, I'm speaking to you specifically. You must have like a thing where you think, oh, I'm so ashamed that like I
You mean
treated the
regret?
person. Yeah, it's a regret. Like I'm ashamed that I treated this person this way. I hope that they know. I wish I could tell them now that like I'm sorry. I just did that because I'm a stupid kid, and
Look,
something was
everybody
going
has that. But the
exactly.
fact that because he called you that, he's now destitute, unemployed,
I didn't say that.
moping around the
I didn't
streets,
say
and
that.
you're with a beautiful girl, which I like. You added that information at the end,
I'm
really,
giving
just to
you
put it to
bullets.
him.
I'm giving you bullets to
The
shoot
guy
down
just
my
walking
theory.
around like us on the street, and hey,
Nah,
I'm goody.
nah.
Like all because of that one thing he told you. He was
No,
looking.
but it
It's
wasn't. It
crazy,
wasn't. The
dude.
thing is, it wasn't just one time. He would keep using it, right? He would keep using it, um, to try and get
Okay,
me
so what
down.
about all those other kids who used it against me? Who just seemed like a. I've met them when we're older, and they all spiritual now and stuff, and it doesn't bother them at all. They're flourishing in life,
Yeah,
but they were the biggest bully.
but what's your
So,
idea of flourishing?
well, I mean, I'm not saying flourishing in any type of way where I can pick apart your life. I'm talking flourishing in terms of there's this joy in the person's face, other than or outside of the MD, that's like they're just like, even when I spoke to them, I actually felt we had this camaraderie. It's like, hey, we used to always go back and forth with each other, and like,
That's
you're always
so
quite racist,
amazing. You grew
but
up in
like,
such a broken part of society. It's amazing. No, really, because your
what are
experience
you
is so.
talking
Let
about?
me tell you why I'm saying this. Because the other
But
kid,
why broken? That's a bit
because the
strong.
because the other kid who said that to me, we met up when I was in university at a trance party, and he literally
So now you've met the guy before the time, or is this
listen.
the first dude?
Okay. I don't want to use no. Let's say the guy who kept weaponizing the word was his name starts with a B. The guy who said it to me once, his name starts with an S. Okay, so S apologized. He had it explained to
Yeah,
him.
we
He
know.
apologized when we were kids, young, before high school, and we made up, and it was never a problem. When I met B, who now we're in high school, and he continually tried to weaponize it against me, he's the one, when I met him later at 22, who had this weird way of looking at me like he wants to say something. And I was looking at him like, okay, say it. Like, I didn't at the time think like, what do you want to say to me? There's something that's on your chest. I can see it in your eyes, the way you're looking at me. Say it. And then I was like, okay, peace. And I left. Now, S, on the other hand, who had apologized and reconciled with me, when I was in university,
Reparations were given.
yeah, when we were in university and we met at a trance party, um, we were laughing about it, and he was like, "Oh, I remember that time I used that word," and I was like, "Bro, that was so crazy," and we're like, "Ha ha ha." He didn't even have to say, "I'm sorry," nothing. It was good because we'd
Yeah,
already
because he
done that.
already wrote you a letter and you showed it to him at the trance party. Like,
I pulled it out
I
of my
still
pocket
have that
like,
letter.
"Oh, since we,"
I carry it with me.
but
Dude, it's
I
all just look here, I get that's your experience and I respect the fact that you're talking about it and what it means to you and stuff. But I just think it's bollocks and I think it's unnecessary. And I think that his parents made him do it because they didn't want to be embarrassed that,
of
oh
course there's a
man, our
part
kid's
like
a
that, of
racist
course.
like us. Like all these other things. And then when I tell you that there was a dude who I used to like not fight with all the time, but who would try that type of thing with me
Mm.
as well. Later on, when I see him and we have a good time at a trance party, which is interesting, we always bring that up in these conversations, but it was like I knew, like, what does it matter about what children are doing? We know we're stupid back then. And then I realized, like, oh, the reason we
It's the
used to sit
drugs.
fuss like that is because we actually had a lot in common. And we realized that when we met later on, like, oh, we actually are very much the same type of person. And of course, we would have butted heads. But none of that had to be spoken about. We didn't have to sing Kumbaya and have like some counselor there having us write notes and
So
stuff.
what did heal it? What you said that you eventually figured out you're very much the same, or were very much the same. What triggered that? Because remember that healing can take different forms, and I'm not saying that healing always has to be quote unquote writing letters. It can also take its own form. For example, one way that South Africans have been healing is exactly like you're mentioning right now, realizing that, oh my goodness, we're actually the same, or like we're
This
way
is
more
what it
similar
is,
than we
right?
thought. Yeah,
Is that I was at a party, as I said, and you know how it is at a party when you go with a group of people and then you end up lost and you just by yourself and you're on your own mission. And I didn't know anybody around me. So it's in that awkward moment where you're just like, oh, maybe I should just go stand over there or whatever. And then the guy happened to be there and I was like, oh my gosh. And he's like, Mikey. And we like grabbed his hand, we hugged. It was like, oh my gosh, dude, it's been forever. It was like in that moment, there's no thing of, oh, you called me that when I was a little kid, and I've held on to it ever
No, of
since then.
course not. Of course not.
It was more about, oh, here's someone familiar, and actually, I've known this guy for years. I mean, even since we were little kids, like, wow, this is awesome. And then we caught up, and it was like amazing. And since that memory, I don't even care about the other stuff because I realize, like, oh yeah, that is just stupid. People, you make mistakes. It's got nothing to. I've done the same to other people. Like, I hope nobody's holding me in bondage. So it's just about letting things flow that happen and not having people tell you what you're supposed to feel.
Let me flip the script now. We talk about words. If someone, and this is a hypothetical, of course, since I use the word if someone were sexually assaulted, did not know that they had been sexually assaulted, and then in adulthood realizes that, oh my goodness, that was actually sexual assault. What about then?
What do you mean, what about then?
Yeah, I mean, then does your formula still work? Ah, man, you didn't even know you were being sexually assaulted, so let it go.
These are two different things here.
No.
We're talking about words and comments, and then we're
No.
talking about a physical thing that we know that there's an actual exchange that is happening, and it would obviously be traumatic because
So you're saying
it
words
would be
have no
like,
power?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying words have the power that you give it to. Like, whereas if that guy called you that, but it didn't have any power over you because you're like, I don't even know what that means. But whether you know what any activity like that is or isn't, it's gonna have an effect on you. Like, whether you know what's happening or not. Because it's an actual physical thing, an experience that's happening to you in real time. That's not the same as someone says the, and you're like, what is that? I don't even know what that means. Whereas being assaulted is literally what's happening to you. Whether you have words to explain it or not, it can't be denied. I'm going through this right now.
There's a lot to reflect upon there because because we both know, and in other instances we've referred to the fact that words do carry power, which is why spells, whether you believe in magic or not, are cast in words. Words originate in the mind. Thoughts do affect. And I will agree with you that how I think affects me. And if my thinking is not affected, then I am not affected, perhaps. But I don't know if I'm quite on board with saying words don't have power. And I know we use the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Words. Crazy.
Sticks and
Dude,
stones.
I'm not saying, like, listen to what you're saying. The
Mhm.
answer is in there. Words have power when you give them power. Then they can be very strong. In your case, you held on to it for all those years.
I never held on to it for
and
years.
then celebrated a man being destitute in the street.
No, I never. What I'm
Somewhat
saying.
a vagabond.
What
people
I'm
would say.
saying is that I had the opportunity to heal. But what I'm questioning is whether he had the opportunity to heal.
But you compared it to sexual assault, which is, I mean, you know that was a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, not all types of sexual assault are the same. I mean, there are times
Dude,
of.
it's like this, okay?
Mikey, you think that
like
that person?
look at like a physical thing, right?
Okay.
If I there's a cup. This is like just randomly out of my brain. There's a cup over there, and I say, "This cup is broken. This cup is broken." And I'm screaming at it the whole time, right? There's a
Yeah.
difference between that and picking it up and throwing it on the floor and it breaking.
Yes.
These are two different realms. So you can't say that words hold the same power in the realm of physicality.
But
That's
listen,
what I'm trying to
here's what I'm
say.
trying to tell you is that in that instance of B, I'm not the one who needed healing because it was like it was like water off a duck's
Ducks
back.
off my back.
Ducks
is
off my
insane.
back. It was like water off a duck's back, right? Because I don't need healing. But I suggest to you now that really the person who needed healing was him because he used the word. And now perhaps that sits with him. So if he had then had the opportunity to say, "I'm my bad," then he would have healed from that. And then that encounter could have been just a genuine, because he would not have that. You see, what you're forgetting is that even if I'm speaking a word against you to try and hurt you, even if you're not hurt, it can hurt me because I'm like, oh, I've done something to someone. I know that I tried to hurt someone, and that gives me a sense of shame. And people carry that with them because even if the word doesn't affect you, it can affect me. The things that I do to you, they can affect me. You can heal and you can forgive me, but I can have not forgiven myself for what I've said or done to you. And that's the problem that I'm talking about.
But
because
how are you supposed to, you as a person, now we're going back to, oh, I can fix another person. They have to come to that
I can't
conclusion.
fix the person. But
And
what I'm saying
also,
is,
this is all being based off of the fact that you think that whatever was going on with the dude in that day, which you really don't. Let's be honest. You have no idea what was going on with the guy. You never even asked him. You never got to
I
that
had no
point.
interest.
Because you were holding on to the fact that he called you that when you were younger.
No, I had
That's
no
why
interest.
you had no interest.
I had no interest because I was about my
The
business.
dude is walking with one shoe on and a broken sock. Absolutely stinking, dude.
The way you're just adding that spice, you're like every time. Next thing, there's an eye missing. Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
But yeah, that's all I'm saying. You don't really know
You're
what
right.
happened. He might have
Right.
just had a bad breakup right before he saw you there. And then you can say, oh yeah, it's because he called me that when we were kids. He's never really put it together. But the story you're saying is basically to validate how you feel about it. That this thing is right with S, and with B it's wrong. And I can see here how it happened. S is fine, we laugh about it, and B is broken and destitute.
I never said destitute. I never said
You might
destitute.
as well have.
I'm saying
The guy's busy there, he had a limp and stuff. Like,
I'm saying there's a brokenness, there's an inability. There was an inability for him to speak to me, man. Like I noticed that this guy is, I can notice, like,
oh my God,
I mean, think about it,
funny,
Mikey.
dude.
We were in a very like intimate school setting. There weren't 1,000 kids at our school. We were like very much in every class that you go to. We're the same 15 kids, right? So we knew each other very well, and class trips and everything. So if I had met, and I have met other kids from the school, it was like, man, vibes are high, bro. Vibes are high from their side, from my side. And now I'm meeting you, and there's like this why aren't you speaking? Like, I'm like looking for like, yo, say something, and you're just like, it was weird, you know. And of course, you're right. I can't for 100% put it down on that. I can't, at all, and it'd be presumptuous of me. But it is a theory that I've put out there, and I just wanna, I don't want us to like haggle on the point too much. I just want to say that in my personally, right, I've done and said things to people, and I've had the opportunity sometimes, but others I haven't had the opportunity to do this. I wish I could go to them and say, I'm sorry. I was just a stupid kid, and if I were to think about it, I probably said it because of this, but that's not an excuse. I'm sorry. And I
But if
think,
going to your
hold on, and
okay.
I think that even as nations, right? And I don't want anyone to take this into, yes, reparations for Africa for what what King Leopold did in the Congo. I'm not taking it there at all, because I know that
Oh,
that's
it's
a,
very specific, but
yeah,
okay.
because it's being discussed. It's being discussed that the African Union or the UN is like discussing reparations for Africa. Listen, some countries did a bit more than just racism, okay? And are still trying to meddle in certain African nations' democracies, whatever. Let's put that aside for now. But what I'm saying is that good step for healing is, hey, buddy, by the way, I acknowledge
Here's $1
that,
million.
no,
This will help you
I
heal.
acknowledge that that happened. I'm not going to downplay it. I'm sorry. Let's just focus on the future. And I see that in specifically South Africa, you know, South Africa is a very interesting place because it's such a unique melting pot. I mean, we have so many different ethnicities, all identifying as one nationality, which many people don't understand. You know, they don't understand it, and the melting has been going on for hundreds of years. It's so interesting. I think one of the only places in the world that might have something similar could be Brazil,
New
right?
York City.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there, okay? Because that's, yeah, it could be, but South Africa, Brazil, they have like that interesting mix. But I I'm inspired when I see, and I love it when I see
The white
camaraderie.
people bowing down and washing the feet.
No, when I see a true camaraderie between all the different colors in South Africa, like you and me, you're colored, I'm black, and we've got great friends, best friends, they're white, and all of us on the same. And you know very well, we've got white friends, they can use the K word, and we're laughing about it. You can use the hot not word. We're laughing about it. Why?
Hey,
Why? Because we're all.
I haven't healed from that yet.
Why? But why? Ask yourself why. It's because we're all living on eye level, right? We're on the same eye level. And for a whole country to move past it, many people are moving past it, great. But then every now and again, you've got some or Tani, and
So you're talking
they,
old boomers now.
yes, they always want to pull it back to,
Why do their opinions matter?
because
I could
they've shaped.
understand if it was little kids who were saying it, you'd be like, when are these things going to change? But if it's old people, like you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So why does it matter? You should have the, let's go back to that word you used or you tried to take away from me, spiritual capacity to be like, I guess that's just how it is. Just raised in
But
a
it's not
different
just
time.
me, is it? It's a whole country.
But here's another thing though. When do you think there's a point where everybody all together, all sides, are just gonna be like, this thing is just exhausting at this point. Like, why are we still drudging this thing on? We're all making money. We're all struggling the same. People are dying of all sicknesses. People are broke. There's poverty everywhere. Why are we still holding on to this? Do you ever think that is going to happen?
Yes, I think. And I believe that, and again, this might just be like some patriotism, but I believe that South Africa is going to be a great example for the world, and it already is. Because, like I said, in our generation and the younger generations especially, and it brings joy to my heart, I see that people are moving on. What we're talking about here is the last little fortresses where people are trying to be like, nah, we can still save this. You get it? For example, places
But
like, let me tell you this, like places like what's that settlement in the north of South Africa where I don't want to.
it's a squatter camp with the white people.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about even that. It shouldn't be squatter camp for white people. That's weird. Like,
No one said it is. They've
okay,
just built a squatter camp,
yes,
and
and they happen to
all
be,
destitute white people are like, I can go here. I don't want to be homeless. I can go get a shack.
yeah. But what I'm trying to say is,
That would be like saying, why are there only black people in this location?
yes, okay, exactly. Now, my point is, there is a place though, and I'm sure you know, in the north where it's just an Afrikaans only, whites only town. It's been all over YouTube. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know about that specific one, but I know of a few places where it's a white only town and you don't want to stop at a bar there if you're colored or black. Let's just say
Yeah.
that.
And that is the thing. They're trying to make it put it under the guise of we're trying to protect Afrikaans culture. Um, it's not wrong to speak your language. It's not wrong to um, remember your past, not at all. But you do have to ask yourself, why do you need to have a little fortress of it? Because we're all in this together, aren't we? Like, we're on the same boat. If this boat sinks, we're sinking together. If it flourishes together. And now you're saying these cabins here, not that we're racist or anything, but these cabins are only for people with a certain skin complexion. That's
But okay,
weird.
so I'm gonna take play devil's advocate here.
You
What
do
is
regularly.
wrong?
It's your go-to role, but yes, do it.
What is well, it's the only way to get to the bottom of things, but what is wrong with that? Because if I'm not mistaken, uh, in Poland, they don't allow any immigrants in there,
It's
right?
wrong.
They're trying to keep it um, to whatever they're trying to keep. They're trying to keep that Polish culture, whatever civilization. They want to keep it as it is, and they are thriving actually. So I want to ask, what is wrong with
Okay,
those people
you're
out there in north of Africa, not north of Africa, but wherever you said it is, north of South Africa? What are they doing that's wrong? And do you want any like black person or family to go move there?
okay. First of all, before I even start answering the whole thing of Poland, because I think you conflated issues. They don't. They control migration, which is not wrong, and I've never been against that. Like, I don't believe that it's okay for anyone who shows up at the border to be like, "Well, I'm here now. Let me in." It's wrong. Everyone has the right to be like, we need to control it because economies are balance balancing acts. Okay, if you just let in lots of people, suddenly you've got in under servicing or like a strain on public services. You've got a strain on everything. You've got people that need to integrate at the right percentage. You know what I mean? I've never been for that, and that's not. Poland is simply controlling migration. They're not. You can apply to, like, I can apply and be like, hey, I want to live there and work there. There's many people who do that. Nigerians from all over Africa, other parts of Europe, or even outside of Europe. That's not the problem. The problem is they're stopping people just like showing up at the door and like, well, I'm here now, let me in. That's another issue. But what I want to ask you is this. How would you feel if in Poland or in England, but I'm not even going to go there, in Poland, a bunch of Africans were like, well, in this town, it's a blacks only town. And you can't buy a house here or buy a piece of property unless you're black African. How would you think about that?
If they were in Poland.
Yeah, if in Poland, there's just
so if
like...
they were in a quote-unquote Caucasian country, and they were then saying
here
that.
we go.
No, I'm trying to define what you're trying to say here.
Mikey, when you find yourself saying...
Wait, you asked me a question, even though it was a question on top of my question, which you still didn't answer. But look, it's happening in the USA with there's even a documentary about it.
Everyone in the USA is an immigrant. We're talking about
Poland. I'm trying to tell you something.
And South Africa.
There's a documentary by Tyler Oliveira. It's about, maybe it's Lake Michigan. I don't know. You can look it up. It's about these Jewish people who have kind of taken over a town, and they have, through certain technicalities and stuff, they've kind of got all the people who used to live there out. And, it's allegedly, because I don't have the full information of the documentary, I still need to check it out.
Yeah.
But
I know what you're referring to.
Obviously, this guy was banned on Patreon and everything. Even though when the other dude, Nick Shirley, did this, like his documentary on the
Somalian
whatever
daycares. There we go.
The daycares. He was, it was promoted and stuff. But Tyler Oliveira had his Patreon banned and stuff. But he's kind of doing the same thing. It's just a different group of people. Anyways, so that there is not right, regardless of anything. So if you're saying, if I think that that's right about what those people are doing in South Africa, I can't sit and say it's wrong or it's right. If you go there and you're like, oh, this is a town that is mainly white people and they don't actually allow anybody else in here, I'll be like, oh, that's interesting how that landed. It would be interesting to see how that even came together. But I'm not going to be there protesting and saying, this isn't right. Like, how could I possibly know what's going on there and what my opinion is going to do or change anything?
And regarding the hypothetical example I gave or put forward to you, of just black Africans in Poland being like, in this town, we've bought this land and we don't allow any Polish people, indigenous Polish people, to live here. Then what would be your stance?
Is it not the exact same thing as the other people of the white town? Wouldn't I give the exact same response?
I'm asking, is it the exact same response?
Yeah, like, why would the race change? Why would it change just because it's reversed now all of a sudden? Whereas if it was Africans and it's white people, and now it's white people and Africans, what's the difference there?
Okay.
It's the same thing.
I personally...
But obviously some people would say the white people they are scumbags, but the black people are... They're just trying to find their way because of all the things that have happened to them throughout the years.
That would be
people always spin it in their own way.
Of course, that's one thing that's true. People will spin it however they want to do it, and people will try and frame things in a way that supports their narrative. And they might even, actually, I'm inclined to believe that But I just think it's wrong, man. Like as someone who's had his foot in both a predominantly black African country as well as a predominantly white European country, someone who's mixed in that sense, I feel that you need to have a sense of community. And the community, if we reduce it to color and language, then we are barbarians. We are primitive beings. It cannot be that way. It should not be that way. We're fighting progress. I think that in the great, and it's laughable, if we think about how fragile our entire existence, even in this universe, is, we are floating around. We are a germ floating around in an empty, in a vast room, okay, filled with plenty of things much bigger that could tear us apart in any moment. If the sun farts, the whole face of this earth is destroyed, and even if we had 1,000,000 years of human history, it would mean nothing in the continuum of this universe. And then, with knowing all of this, right? Because our predecessors, thousands of years ago, they may not even have understood this, although we have inklings that they did actually have an idea of this. If we now today, with our advanced quote unquote understanding, still boil it down to, well, we want to be a tribe on our own, living on our own, and we won't allow anyone to live with us. What are we doing, man? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
But here's the thing.
We're living in the lowest
and
vibrational
this is
frequency.
the point that I wanted to bring up to you. Which is why basically my point of contention to all the things that you've been referring to is that there's no onus on the individual becoming their best version and sorting themselves out first, and then seeing what change they can make in the world. It's always about, no, I'm how I am because of whatever, so now I'm owed something. Are you the best that you can be? Are there things that you are like striving to every day to clean up within yourself? Certain beliefs and ideas that might have been placed there when you were a kid, and then the other kid had to write you a note or something. Like, why don't we start there? Because I guarantee you, when people actually do that, they'll realize, oh, I actually have nothing against you.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I don't like these types of things, because a lot of people use it as a way to get out of doing their own inner personal work.
Oh, you can never escape that. Make no mistake. That's not what I'm trying to say.
So what I'm saying is, if every single person involved fully focused on themselves to, as you put it, to heal, to do some type of spiritual work, I don't know what you want to even call it at this point, some type of inner reflection
Therapy.
To make sure that at least, you know, it's like even Jesus said, he who is without sin cast the first stone.
What?
Right?
What did you say?
He who is without sin cast the first stone.
Okay.
That line within itself kind of just dissolves all the stuff you're talking about.
Ah, thank you. Now let me bring something in. Jesus said that. Why did he say that? That phrase.
Neither do I condemn thee. Go off and sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you.
Okay. But why did he say it?
A worse thing come upon you.
Listen,
personally.
listen. You're going to catch it now, what I'm trying to say. The words of Jesus Christ give life. Why did he say that? He said it to heal people. I.e., that is a form of therapy that he's giving. Now, some people can do it on their own. There's some people in that crowd, before Jesus said that, who are already like, I'm not going to throw a stone at this people. What if it were my daughter or something? Or what if it were my child? Or what if it were me? I need to forgive. But most of them were not like that. Or many of them were not. So he said it to teach them that. So what I'm trying to show you is that the idea that it will fix itself without people being taught that is not self-evident. And that's the whole point. Just like Jesus had to say those words, he who is without sin, cast the first stone. He said that so that people can think, am I without sin? And then they put down their stones. So in the same way, there's healing that needs to be facilitated. And if you just said it yourself, if everyone goes back and works on themselves, wonderful idea. How many people you know who are doing that?
Well, obviously, hardly anybody's doing that.
Bingo.
This is why we have all these issues that you're talking about.
Bingo. And that's why
So
people do
what I'm
it.
saying is,
That's why
these
nations,
reparations and washing of the feet and all these things,
Bro,
it's gonna do nothing.
leave the washing leave the washing of the feet. Why are you taking it so extreme? Why?
What do you mean extreme? Because that's one of the things. I think there was even a video about it. But anyways, what I'm saying is, it's this thing of, do you really think that if you got given $1 billion, you're gonna let go of all the resentment and stuff?
No, money
No,
is such a
you're just gonna
cheap.
find the next thing.
Yeah, of
Do you
course.
think if all these people apologize, and like every single white person right now, they get together on a massive live stream and they all drop down and they weep and they say, "We are sorry for what we have done." Do you really think it's going to change anything? It's going to do absolutely nothing.
You say that, but at the same time, there were things like the Nuremberg trials, which were meant to actually shine a light on all the sinister little things. I mean, if I think about my education and what I learned about the atrocities, like horrendous things that individual German Nazi soldiers did to Jewish people and their kids, like soldiers taking babies from their mothers and smashing their head into a wall.
Yeah, like they did in
hold on.
Columbus days.
Yeah, but that kind of a story makes me realize that, first of all, I understand what genocide is. I understand what fascism is and how it can creep into society. And knowing that helps me to recognize that potential evil that may or may not want to rise within me or within my community. So, in the same way, teaching kids, honestly,
Dude,
about
stop
this.
teaching kids anything about our history. People will disagree with
Then
me
we
over
will
there.
be condemned to repeat ourselves.
You're just spoiling the youth with the nonsense of the sick old people who are like, don't forget, you need to hold on to this thing, because I will not die until you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I suppose this is a chicken and egg discussion, because it's, on the one hand, you're saying stop teaching them about
No,
it.
look
But
here.
one thing that
Don't
will
get me.
happen.
Don't get me wrong here. I'm trying to, like, the point I'm making. You kind of just agreed with and you let it go, but it really needs to be looked at specifically here. Is that if people were like, okay, I'm gonna drop my stone, right? And I'm gonna go back. So have I ever, say it's a black person or Indian person or whatever, ask themselves, have I ever discriminated against someone in my life? And start going and doing their own inner work and seeing that man, I actually have a lot of holes and stuff in my game. This is why I'm projecting it onto these people, and they do their work and they do their work. Guess what? They'll end up forgiving those people and be like, you know what? I'm actually good right now. Like
And
I'm
who's gonna
living
take
bliss.
them through
I've done
that?
the inner work. Like, you know what? I forgive you. You know, neither do I condemn thee. I'm just, it's fine. The problem is most of these people who want some apology or whatever, and I'm not saying that they're wrong or like this. Wrong and right is such a weird thing when it comes to these scenarios. I just feel that do that, but make sure
that you yourself are not using it as a way to get away from working on yourself.
I agree there. I agree fully. I think that in the end, we're coming to a conclusion where we're saying the same thing. The only difference being that I don't want it to be taken overboard. Trust me, I don't want to be like something that pisses me off sometimes is that in Germany is that uh, the we've been taught about the terrible past, and we've been taught about the crimes committed then, and we resent them. Most of us, I'll say it like that because there's a resurgence of certain extremist groups, but what but that resentment comes, that dissociation with that comes from our education of the crimes and the consequences. On the other spectrum, you have this shame, right? The societal shame, where I feel like we're supposed to be ashamed just for being German and for being maybe proud of being German, like proud of our heritage.
But where is this though? Like, because this is, I know this is just a side note. It could be just in my own head, but I kind of feel like no one. Is there anybody on the street who says, I can't stand Germans for what they've done?
No, I'm not talking about that. That's what I'm saying. It's
no, but this is just a side
self-inflicted.
note. I'm not saying it to you. It's just
Okay.
like an opinion I have. It's kind of a different topic, but I do find it's interesting that people don't really like hold anything against Germans. They have it against Nazis, but not like the German people.
No, I get
No
you.
one says like I don't know, maybe I could be wrong, but that's kind of how it seems.
No, I get you. But what I'm trying to get to is that it's this like unspoken rule that it almost feels like we should be ashamed to be German. And it's a self-inflicted thing. But for example, this is just atrocious. I'll never forget, and I was reminded of this incident. It's not even an incident, just something that was recorded of Angela Merkel. She was obviously Bundeskanzler. What's Bundeskanzler? Like Prime Minister, basically, of Germany. But this is years ago. The previous. And before Olaf Scholz. And I'll never
it always
forget.
sounds like you're just making up names. It's funny,
No.
but continue.
And
Makuna Matata.
Sauerkraut, no.
Sauerkraut, as in like sauerkraut.
Yeah.
Sitzsprinkler.
Sitzpinkler.
Oh
Okay,
my
stop,
gosh, but
hold on.
continue your story, dude. It's
What I'm
hilarious.
saying is dude, never I told this the other day, like, I'm going to stand peeing and I'm going to pee standing until I die, like, until those knees better give out, you know.
No, dude, like you don't hit the water at all. It's like just completely around the toilet pot because your knees are shaking so much. But like you look in the mirror proudly.
Yeah, I'm still standing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, still standing.
Um,
It's funny. But what's the point though? Let's try and pull this one home.
Okay, my point being, Angela Merkel, I think, was at her like celebration of like, oh yes, I've made it, female chancellor, and some guy was like holding a small German flag behind her and waving it, and she saw it and she pulled it out of his hand and like tossed it to the side. And I thought to myself, what is that? Because being proud to be German is not fascism. It's not. We're not saying Germany above everything else. We're literally just saying,
Deutschland über alles.
yeah, why should you not be
But where does
proud to be?
that saying come from? Which means Germany over everything.
It's the old German national anthem, and it's not cool anymore. It's not seen to be cool anymore
So
because
don't you think that she was maybe thinking of that type of ideology? That's why she threw it on the floor.
but it's a
Or
German
maybe she
flag.
was just trying to placate to her audience or something.
Well, maybe, but
Like, look what I'm doing.
honestly, I think she hates or hated Germany. Like I feel that way, and I think that's
And
why
she was German, obviously.
yeah, apparently. Um, I'm saying that my point
Well, she was
being,
white, so she was German.
yeah, with blonde hair, dark blonde hair. But anyway, my point is, I'm trying to
Probably
say,
beautiful as well.
the jury's out on that one. What I'm trying to say is that we don't have to be ashamed of everything. We don't have to be ashamed of German opera and Goethe and the German language and our spirit of resilience and all these things. Those are things that you should be proud of, and you can identify them as German traits, and it's good to celebrate that. And in the pursuit of demonizing what was rightfully terrible, we don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't throw everything out. And that's what I'm saying basically here is I also don't want the same thing with slavery or the study of past transgressions by one people or people who look of one type against another type to cause us to now over demonize everything. That's wrong. I'm not for that. I'm for the middle path. I'm for saying we were steered to the far right. Now let's bring it back to the middle, not to the far left, because the far left will also take us off the course. Just bring it to the center and
It's like the
let's go
far
on
left and the far right is two cheeks of the same ass, and they
when you
both
go
clap
far
in the
enough,
center.
it's tough to see the difference when you go far enough. Because we don't want
It's
to
like
see.
it's the horseshoe theory, right? Where it's like they meet in the middle. The further you go, the more you meet in the middle, type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, in their external attributes, they become indistinguishable one from the other because the left will try and push you towards this idea of families don't matter. Everyone is an individual unit. That starts sounding very much like 1984 type of talk. Like, I'm talking about George Orwell's book. Families are good. Unfortunately, not everyone gets to grow up in a family. But families are good. Families are born out of biological compatibility, biological needs, and
And a bit of
whatever
booze
shape
on
that
the
family
odd
takes.
night.
Sorry?
A bit of booze on the odd night.
What does that have to do with the family? What are you saying?
That's how families are made.
Okay, right. Okay. You're talking about, boys, let me tell you about how I met your mother. We
I'm
were at
trying to lighten the
Stones.
load here because you went from some German lady throwing the flag on the ground, and I wanted to ask, like, what do you say about the people who say, no, you're African German? Like, those guys are African American. because you're black.
Mm, they can say that, but I feel like it's loaded in a sense because you're saying that no matter the fact that my mother tongue, the language that I first spoke, obviously my mom's first language was not German, but my language was German. Um, we always spoke German in the house. I had to learn English. Um, and of course, my time in South Africa was transformative. I had an opportunity to get back into touch with even my time in Botswana. Like I was able to get back into touch with like, oh, this is what my grandfather on my mother's side
The
did.
motherland.
This is what my family on my father's side is about. But at the end of the day, I am a new being, right? Their blood, it's in me, and their strengths and their weaknesses as well. But more than anything, I chart the new course for the future. Like Khalil Gibran said in his book, The Prophet, and I'm going to butcher this, but do I have the book here? No, it's over there. Anyway, he basically says a word in his book. He talks about how parents, you are the bows that shoot your children into a future that you will never know. So don't try to make them like you, but try to be like them. And I was like, bam, that's it right there. Because the time that the time that I'm living in right now, my parents have never lived in it, and they never will, obviously, because even if they hadn't passed away, it wouldn't be the case. They're never gonna. The future belongs, quote unquote, to me, and now it belongs to my daughter. So I'm not supposed to try and make them like me. I'm supposed to try and also
But
learn
doesn't this
from
go
them.
back to my point about the whole thing about the word that was used? It kind of lines up with that directly.
Yeah, I suppose it does. But one thing I'll tell you is that my parents, I told you something very key when S used that word against me. They never taught me to resent him for that. And their reaction wasn't outrage. You get it? So they never taught me, like, this is preposterous. It should never happen. No, it wasn't like that. And that's what I love about it, is that they didn't try to make me think that you should take up the fight. No, they just said, this is what it meant. This is the history of it. And that's why I try to use that as a good example, because they didn't try to make me inherit some kind of a mantle. But I know that there are children and people my age, and their parents did tell them, never forget. Never forget what the white man did to you. My parents never said that to me. They never tried to make me think about the past, right? And I might be very fortunate in that sense. And so that's why, let me just close the loop on what you said. Someone calling me, you're an African German. Call me what you want, but at the end of the day, I know that I was happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. Whatever kind of pavement special I am, I'm happy to be it, because I'm at peace. If me being black and being German somehow upsets you, deal with it. I'm not gonna
It's all
apologize.
silly, dude, because
Yeah.
we're all on one earth.
And that's why I'm
that's,
telling you also,
you know,
people who are like, you like, you white people, you're settlers here in Africa. Leave that nonsense, man. Leave that nonsense, right? They're all South Africans. You're all South Africans. You've spent enough time together that if you want to see a beautiful example of this, take two South Africans, one Afrikaans, one Zulu, and you let them meet each other somewhere here in Europe. You are gonna see, if they're like, you from SA, yo buddy, all of that ideas of oh, you're Afrikaans, he's a stupid Zulu man, that falls by the way, because they
But it's
realize
also
they're the
the
same
pendulum.
thing. Huh?
If you in South Africa, then
Yeah.
there's like this universal mind that kind of like there's a bunch of like suggestions, and I
Mm.
mean, this is a little bit out there, obviously, but that's just how I am. Like, there's kind of like a hive mind experience where if you just like place those two people inside of South Africa, they are susceptible to those ideas. But if you remove them from, let's call it that consciousness, it's like they're freed of it because now they're in a place where that isn't happening.
Yes, and I agree with you. And also, more important, and not more importantly, but likewise, what I'm trying to point to is that, and this is something that makes people very uncomfortable, but if you can just step back and objectively observe, like, Afrikaans culture and like indigenous African cultures, you realize
Same.
they're the same thing. Compared to the world, that you're the same thing. Trust me. Like, you're the same thing. Only when you look closer and closer, it's like when you look at a cell, you're like, this is one cell. But if you go closer, then you realize, oh, here's a mitochondria, here's a cell wall. It's only because you're looking deeper and deeper. But if you just take a step back, you realize this is one organism. These are South Africans. They know the same jokes. They have the same upbeat spirit. They have the same, it's the same thing going on. I promise you that even if you look within, um, like Zulu or Xhosa or Tswana, they're gonna try and break it up to, oh, he's a Mokwena, he's a Batalaute, he's a, uh, uh, it's. I guess it's human nature. We're always trying to bring it down to, oh, but you and I, we were in the same class, right? But if you take them out of the we're in the same class thing, and they meet on the street, they're like, oh, you went to Fairmont, I went to Fairmont, that's amazing, great stuff. Suddenly you put them, the whole class, in one room.
These are obviously hypothetical schools that
Hypotheticals,
don't
not that there's an
actually
actual
exist.
school called Fairmont or anything like that. Not saying that, I'm just saying, but that's my point. Anyway, I think we agree on that. I think
But
we agree
yeah,
on that.
let's pull this one home, dude. We've been going for some time, but
Yeah.
obviously there's been a lot of back and forths. Been a lot of ideas and stuff that's been purported and magnified. So I think we'll just end it with, for people who don't know, we'll just end it with like, I guess, a moment of silence. Let the dust settle.
Are they going to tell a
Let's
joke
leave
first?
this. Tell a joke if you want to. Let it be
Nah, oh, I
funny
only
at
know
least.
racist jokes.
Okay. This is the guy who's outside protesting.
That's one thing I love about
Um,
South Africa, is that we can tell racist jokes and most people will laugh, but like some jokes are not cool here in Germany. So anyway, but
Sounds like some words aren't cool. But anyways, so yeah, let the dust settle. The reason it's done is just so that we can just leave this in peace, I guess.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna say thank you. Uh, we'll have a moment of silence. Switch off the video if you want, or maybe just take a moment to gather yourself, and I'll say thank you, and then we'll end it there. So yeah, good chat though.
Awesome chat.
Thank you. Thank you.
Peace.